found out my dad gave my college fund to his new kids and went ballistic. My parents divorced when I was 9. My dad remarried 4 years later and has 3 kids with his new wife, who are now 7, 9, and 11. I had managed a relationship with my dad across all of that. Not a warm one, not the kind I had hoped for when I was younger, but a functional one. I visited on holidays, I attended the school plays, I sent the birthday messages. I did what you do when you have decided to keep a difficult relationship alive because the alternative felt worse. I thought we had an understanding. It turns out what we had was much more one-sided than I realized. The college fund was set up when I was 4 years old. My mom has the original paperwork going back that far. My grandparents contributed to it every single birthday and Christmas for 14 years without missing one occasion. When I was 18, my dad sat me down very deliberately and told me he had been managing it and that it would be available when I needed it for university. He looked me in the eye. I started my course last September. In October, I asked my dad about accessing the money. He asked me to come and see him in person rather than talking over the phone, which was not how he usually handled things. That alone should have told me something. He sat me down in his living room and told me the fund had been redirected. He said the years after the divorce had been financially very difficult for him, and that he had used some of the money to stabilize his situation, and that what remained he had put toward private school fees for his younger children because they had needs and opportunities that required investment. He said this in a measured and even tone, like he had rehearsed it very carefully over a period of time, like he had been preparing for this conversation for some time. I asked him how much was left in the fund. He said there was nothing left. The fund was completely empty. I told him to say that again. He did. I am going to be honest about what happened next. I raised my voice in a way I have never raised it at another adult in my life. I told him he had taken money that my grandparents had put aside for my future every birthday and Christmas for 14 years, and had spent it on school fees for children he had while I was living with my mom, and she was working 3 jobs to keep us stable. I told him he had looked me in the eye 18 months ago and told me the money was there, and he had known when he said it that it was not. I told him that was not a complicated financial decision made under pressure. That was a deliberate betrayal, and I needed him to hear those 2 words and sit with them. He said he had always intended to replace it. I told him I was 19 years old and I was supposed to be starting my adult life with an education my entire family had worked to give me, and instead, I was sitting in his living room being told it was gone. He said his younger kids had not chosen this situation. I told him neither had I, and that I was not the one who had made those decisions or taken the money. I left his house. I sat in my car outside his house for about 15 minutes. Then I drove directly to my grandparents and told them what had happened. My grandmother cried. My grandfather said nothing for about 3 minutes, and then he picked up his phone and called a solicitor. My dad has not called me since that conversation. He has sent 2 text messages through my mom in the week since, which I have not responded to. My grandparents are pursuing legal advice. I have applied for every bursary and loan available, and I'm still in my course now and I fully intend to finish it. My mom asked me last week how I was doing. I told her I was angry and I was sad and I was managing. She said that was the most honest answer she had heard. I told her it was the only honest answer I had. Subscribe for more stories.